are dice combat mechanisms too random? So dice for combat. Do you think it's too random?
Well, I can see where people might argue it is, but I mean, fighting is random in a sense. I mean, watch any kind of, MMA fight. There's definite underdogs in those fights, and they catch a guy when he ain't looking and knock him out, and that's not expected. It does happen. I get that, but sometimes it gets really annoying. The little guy knocks the big guy out way too often, more often than he should, and so it does get a little annoying and disheartening whenever it starts working against you, just because it's a random element and you can't control it whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel like if your dice are providing a very large min-max, if I'm going to do damage, but it's damage between 1 and 50.
Yeah.
Because I'm rolling like 8 or 9 dice or something like that.
Yep.
Well, I guess it wouldn't be 1, but you see what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
If I'm rolling 6-sided dice, you got between 6 and 36.
Right.
That's a massive amount of
variant.
Yeah. And even if you're using it, like for instance, in Dungeons and Dragons, you're using a D20 on the earlier levels of the game. That's huge. You have a +2 to hit.
Right.
And you're rolling a D20 that's going to dictate between 1 and 20.
I can't hit this big spider.
He's too big. My staff cannot hit him. So, I mean, it's a massive randomizer. And I feel like I guess you kind of have to take a game that has dice combat and dissect it with this question, because you can't blanket statement it, because some games we're talking about damage, some games we're talking about to hit,
right.
Some games you're actually adding in it with other things. Like, I don't know, what's your favorite dice combat game?
Oh, put me on the spot. I can't tell you, but I do like when
we could talk mechanism.
I was
if you
gonna
want to
say,
talk a mechanism.
Yeah, I like a combat system where the dice rolling will either maybe some cards are played and that just gets you an edge, or you can roll some dice and then play cards on top of it. Yeah.
So exactly my thoughts, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Isaac Vega and say City of Remnants has one of my favorite combats.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, you got cards. The cards are, you get strength value equal to the guys that you bring, and then you get to roll dice equal to the number of miniatures that you have next to that combat.
Right.
And so, but the dice are like 2 sides are blank, 2 sides are 1s, and 1 side's a 2, or maybe it's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and a blank.
Mm-hmm. Not standard.
Yeah. It's not standard, but each dice can only get you between 0 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only rolling like, usually 3 or 4 dice. It's not like you're rolling tons of dice. And for the most part, it's probably not, it could be more points than what you're committing with your characters, but a lot of times it probably isn't, depending on what faction you are. But I really like that. Point is, you got cards that add points, and the points from the dice are extra. They're kind of like the randomizer. Like you said, that's where if the big guy wants to fight, or the little guy wants to fight the big guy, it gives him a chance.
Yeah.
Because without chance, it's always going to be big guy smashes little guy.
You can always calculate biggest army wins.
Right, yeah. And like games I don't like with dice combat, like Risk, just to completely shout out one of them. I don't like that because, I don't know, there's really not, maybe Risk Legacy and stuff, or maybe like the 2210s and stuff where you can add like bonus and modifiers and stuff. But for the most part, where it's just like, I roll dice and I roll higher than you.
Yeah.
We've been there so many times. We don't need to go back.
Right.
And I see a couple, I've seen games every once in a while do that, where it's just kind of like, that's one thing I didn't like about Warhammer, the miniatures game.
Mm-hmm.
You just roll a bunch of dice and you have to hit these numbers. I don't know, there's really nothing you could do to mitigate it. That's why I like War Machine better, and probably people right now screaming at the top of their lungs. But you roll, you get averages, you can add spells to increase those averages. You mitigate your die rolls through clever tactics and through spells and through abilities and combos and things like that. It's got a Magic the Gathering flavor of combos going on.
Right.
And then the other miniature games, it's really just like roll some dice, get higher than your opponent, and roll fistfuls of dice, get these, roll them again, get these, get them. I don't know. It's just kind of like dice combat can be very underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But so I can dominate the mic, I'm going to continue to talk. The custom dice are by far the best though.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever play X-Wing?
No.
Well, X-Wing, it has like, burst marks for hits and things like that. And it has other like focus eyeballs or whatever. And you can use abilities to where if you focus, any focus icons that you roll also count as hits. So it's like, it's kind of like they're D8s. Right. So you could really calculate it as a D8. It's nothing special like that, but it does provide a visual flavor to it, a visual appeal. You're not just rolling numbers, you're rolling symbols and stuff. Right. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun game. You should try it out.
I've heard all about it. Yeah. It sounds interesting, but that's a road I don't want to go down.
You just play with other people's stuff.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down the collecting road. It's a bad road to go down.